Hi.
Hi.
Who dat?
It's me. I know. I'm never here.
No, I just missed you last week. It was nice to see you.
Yeah. How was last week?
It was very fun. We had Dave Vine who was helping us out, and he was lovely.
That's good.
Always fun. Trying to think what else we had. It was a blur. I don't know what happened.
I don't know either.
Oh, we had my friend's kids on helping help kids figure out what to do for First Communion. Anyways.
Oh. First Communion.
Yeah.
Long ago, far away.
I know. How are you doing?
I'm good. I was working up at the Cabot Theater up in Beverly is doing this new thing where there was just an ant crawling on my foot.
Did you get it?
I try not to kill them because I feel bad, but I'm also kind of like, don't get on my foot. I really don't like that.
Do you need a minute? Want me to take over for a little bit? You can.
No, I'm good now. I just like to share. Like, I'm being transparent.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we get these big carpenter ants. Anybody else? Big carpenter.
I kind of like those guys. What's happening here?
I like them too, but they're almost too big. Like, I feel like you could ride them if they're like.
You kind of can, but that's why I like them, because I feel like you kind of know their intentions. Like, whereas like the smaller ones, you don't know if they're going to bite you or not, but like the big ones, you can kind of see what's going to happen.
Right. I've bitten by one of those little friends and it was not pleasant. Well, thank you, Tina Talent.
Oh my God.
Tina Talent. Yeah, the other day I saw one outside carrying another ant, and someone said they carry their dead back to the thing and they eat them. Is that true?
I guess. I didn't know that they ate them. I just thought they were bringing them back so their friends and other ants could kind of mourn them. But maybe
ants, uncles.
Antabolism. Yeah.
Antabolism.
Ants. They're other aunts and uncles. Yeah, they only have ants. They don't have any other relatives.
No, just aunts, no uncles. Yeah. So anyway, I was up there hosting an event for a couple days that's going to be released on an online streaming thing, which is fun.
Ooh.
So it was fun. I got to listen to music for days, like live bands and
that's awesome.
Artists. And it was awesome. It's nice because the world is opening back up again. And so to hear live music is just like such a treat.
Yeah.
So it was really good. Yeah.
How are you feeling about that? Are you ready? Are you ready for the world to come back online?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people are ready to be people.
No, I don't think they forgot how to over the past year. I mean, I've just been driving around today was absurd. Like, it was the weirdest thing, and everything was crowded. Like, I went to run an errand today and it took forever. It was just people everywhere. And
there was a stand-up show last weekend and there was a brawl at the stand-up show.
Really?
Yeah. I won't give details, but so people are just forgetting how to go out.
See, this is something that I don't understand, where it's kind of like you'd think that it would be the opposite, right? That like people are so happy to finally be able to be like, hey, we're hanging, like we're with each other, we're doing it. And instead they're like beating the crap out of each other, which I don't get.
I think it's a split, right? It's a half and half. Like half people are half people. Half of the people are excited to be out with other people and they're like over polite, and the other half are like, let's get wasted and start a fight. Yeah, it's bizarre.
I know. Most of my like a lot of my massage clients are still talking about like they're like, I'm gonna keep wearing a mask. I'm gonna keep like I'm not ready for, jumping out into like, full time.
Right. I agree with that. I'm going to wear a mask. How about you?
I am really enjoying not wearing a mask outside. That's nice. Kind of lovely. And I probably would inside with folks that I know and that I know are vaccinated, like that.
Yeah.
What I've kind of not had a problem with for the most part. Like, but I also wasn't hanging with a big bunch of people. Like, I had a pretty small pocket of folks that I would see face to face, but Yeah, is everyone going to be sneezing at the club? Yeah, that's the thing, is like they were talking about like flus and colds completely like went away. Although also I wonder statistically how much of that was because doctors kept saying like, well, if you're not feeling good, you can't come in. So they weren't getting diagnosed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, so I don't know.
I do think personally I got less colds. I usually get like a good cold once or twice, but I wasn't working. So I wasn't out with a bunch of people.
Right.
And I also was wearing a mask everywhere and like really making sure I take care of my hands and being clean. I think everybody was doing that. So, or most.
I was hoping honestly that like, that it would become less, what's that word where like people are afraid to be around you? Like that.
How you say agoraphobic?
No, but like, you know, that it would be less conspicuous to wear masks and stuff like that out in public, and that it would become more the norm, like it is in like Asian countries and some European countries, where it's like, hey, I've got a cold, so I'm going to put a mask on, versus just being out there.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case. I feel like everybody's going to be a little bit paranoid in the second they see a mask. Now it's a political thing is the problem. Like it's like, but
it should just be a respectful thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I used to use them with clients. Like, I mean, I had a couple times where I either had a cold or a flu, and I knew I wasn't contagious anymore. But like at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to put a mask on just so like I'm not coughing on you, or like, you know, like just out of respect. But I don't know. I met a snake today. I wanted to talk about that.
Oh, okay. Let's hear all about him. How big?
Okay. I don't know because they think it's a girl. Although I didn't know, it was hard to tell the sex of a snake, and that like you can kind of test at home. Yeah.
How do you test the sex of a snake?
Well, very politely. I mean, we don't like to ask, you know. Let you, you know. But, so its name, they believe it's a she, the owners. Clarice is her name.
Clarice?
Yeah. Like
that's a good snake name.
Yeah. And she didn't like, so she was sort of packed in this like little mulch pile that she had made for herself. She kind of came out to like, you know, see what was going on, and then just hung back. But she's like I think a python. But
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of snakes.
I think they're so cool. Like, as long as I know what they are. Similar to carpenter ants. Like, if I know what their intentions are, perfectly happy having them around.
See, I'm itching right now just thinking about the snake.
Really?
Making a mulch pile. Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know. Was it in a tank with a lid?
Yes. Yeah, sadly, because I wanted to play with it, but
no, itching again.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it. Once when we were a kid, I grew up in the sticks in Maine, and we had a wood stove, and my dad would bring wood in, and it would sit next to the wood stove, and you would feed the wood stove to stay warm. And I was home, my brother was babysitting me, and a snake came out of the wood pile, and we were like, whoa, we freaked out and like hid upstairs, which was, now I know, would be, you got to know where it is.
Right. Yeah. And they can go upstairs.
They can go anywhere.
They can go anywhere.
Do you hear birds, Smarz?
No. Why? Are you hearing birds?
I hear birds.
The birds in my new neighborhood are very vocal, and they start at 5:30 in the morning, and they like to wake me up. So fuck them. Yeah, they're very vocal. So yeah.
Yeah, I can hear them.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's cute.
Jurassic Snark also hears them. Yeah.
The brawl thing, not the trampling thing. Yeah. They sound really cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel kind of like Snow White. Like I'm just sitting here. Growing up in Miami, we used to have a lot of snakes. And what would freak me out, I know we moved away from snakes, but I'm sorry, I kind of need to go back to this. We used to get, I called them diamondbacks, but I know they're not diamondbacks because that's a very different kind of snake, and they were like, you know, poisonous. These I don't think were poisonous, but they were like these thick sort of snakes that had a diamond pattern along the back of them, and they used to sleep. We had like those crank windows that, like, you know, you crank them and so they would sleep on the window ledge, and it would freak me out because it would just be like right there.
That's the right response.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want snakes anywhere near me. Like now I'm like looking around. I don't like them at all.
You don't have any snakes near you. But like even if you know that they're totally harmless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, you grew up in Florida where they're scary. Up in Argyle snakes. Yes. Growing up in Maine, there's no poisonous snakes in Maine. So like none of those snakes can hurt you. Like we have them out at our camp out at the lake and they're water snakes. So like you'd be coming in on your kayak and then all of a sudden one of them's like, hey, what's up? And you're like,
I'm not afraid of that.
I've slapped them across the face with my paddle before.
On purpose?
Oh yeah. Like if they come close to the boat and they get up, they'll like get up and kind of look with their head. Yeah. And I'm like, because I don't want them near me. I don't. Hey,
you ever slap a snake?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have slapped a snake. And he said to himself, what is water snakes should literally be illegal, terrifying. Yeah. Correct, Bella World.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't want no snake coming up to me. See, that's the thing, is I like them when they're contained. I'm not afraid of them. Out in the world, they can do their own thing. I don't want them near me. Like I'm not going to go mess with a wild and free snake.
There was a news story recently that there was a woman who was recently swallowed by, this happens apparently happens all the time. It's like one of my biggest irrational fears. She was swallowed by a snake. And so she was missing from her village and they went looking for her and they found like a shoe and then another shoe. And then like a big machete to like cut brush away. And then they found a snake that was very swollen in the middle. So they cut the snake open and it was her.
Did she like come out? She's like, thank you guys.
No, she did not. She was being digested. So,
ooh.
I wonder if that snake felt like, when you're having like a big meal and it's just so good, you're like, I know I should stop, but like, did he get to the leg and he was like, I am stuffed, but she is delicious, like unhinged and just took her in.
Or if they like feel like they start with like delicious and then they're just like, oh, my eyes are bigger than my stomach. Like I cannot possibly, but then you gotta keep going because like they
can't chomp. They can't, they can't chomp.
Okay, that's terrifying.
Thank you.
I didn't think they actually eaten. Yeah, I should have had a kid.
Oh, damn. This grown woman is too big. I should have gotten a kid meal. Nothing? Okay, great. We're not sponsored either. I just needed something cold.
Well, it's pretty soon. Yes. Let's just say yes.
We're not sure.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, this has been the animal segment on Genuine Nonsense with Christina Smarz and Kelly McCullough. The idea that this happens all the time. Amy Claire Parker, it does in my brain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, they can eat a cow, can't they? Like they can eat like
they unhinge and they can.
That's the part. But that's only a certain kind of snake. Not all snakes can do that.
I don't care if you're a tiny snake. You're unhinging and eating something.
I'm pretty unhinged. I mean,
I can eat a cow, 2MB says. What about gummy worms?
Hashtag not all snakes. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah, that's our merch, by the way. It's coming out. In Sarah Burns, if you're watching,
please,
formal artist of 2MB Studios. Could you please design our hashtag not all snakes genuine nonsense t-shirt? Thank you so much.
I'm just going to say not all snakes.
Yeah, not all snakes. Everybody's unhinging and eating someone. That's my motto.
Yeah, I think that's kind of true when you think about it.
I feel like I have snakes crawling on me. I feel like I have carpenter ants. Matt, can you put up a picture of a carpenter ant?
No.
Because I want people to see how big they are.
Well, then you need a reference of some sort. You need a carpenter ant versus.
Let me see if I can catch this one. I'll be right back. Let me get my lasso out. They're big and cute, but they're just like, oh, Bella World, me watching this with a giant snake tattoo.
So Bella World, why do you have a snake tattoo? Because you're a snake person and you have.
Yeah, there he is.
Why is he broken? What's wrong with his stomach? Oh, he's got anorexia.
Oh no. They eat wood.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Hey
there.
Oh, okay. So that looks more normal. That other one looked like it was broken in the middle, though.
They got big heads.
And big butts, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious if Bella World is a snake person.
Oh.
Or has a snake tattoo because they're kind of cool. Anywho, I do have to, this is one last sort of silly thing, and I saw this right before the show. There's no reason for me to really share this, but I have to because it made me laugh out loud. I was poking through. I fall for like the BuzzFeed little quips all the time. Do you have this problem where?
No, I made myself stop doing them because I'm afraid. One time I clicked something and then I got that big alert thing. Oh. It's a hoax, but it's an alert thing where it goes wah, wah, and it's like, you now have a virus. And I freaked out and went to Geek Squad without a bra on. So I don't allow myself to do that anymore.
Go to Geek Squad without a bra on?
No, that I do just on a Tuesday to say hello. Go on. You took a quiz. What did it say?
No, it wasn't a quiz. It was like, I think it was something like, 20 things that every single person can relate to or something like that. And one, I thought it was every single person, but there was no comma there. And then I realized it was more universal. And I was like, I'm single. Oh, wait, no, this is not. But
you are a person, so you should relate. Okay,
and
go ahead.
I'm individual, so I'm singular. The fifth loco on Twitter was talking about, like, one of the things was, does anyone else pack underwear for a trip like they're planning on shitting themselves twice for every day that they're gone? And it made me laugh out loud because I do that. It was one of those like, oh, I do that, where it's like I'll be going away for 2 days and I've got 12 pairs of underwear because I'm like, you don't know what's going to happen, but it's like, when have I ever used all of that, and why am I compelled to do that? But
I do the two, I count by twos. Like if I'm going away Friday through Sunday, I go Friday 2, 4, 6, and I bring 6 pairs of underwear.
I usually do that and then add a couple on for good measure. Like
I do too. This is a horrible plug, but I have a bit on my album You Woke Up Today about packing for a trip and how someone gave us a packing list, 8 pairs of underwear for a weekend. And I say that exact same thing. If you need 8 pairs of underwear, perhaps you should stay home.
Sure.
That's a lot of underpants.
That's a lot of underwear.
That's like 4 a day.
Right. And like, I mean, I guess it all depends on your activities. But
your bowels.
And your bowels activities.
I've had an accident before. It's not fun.
No, it's not fun. Man, this is just a whole different rabbit hole.
Yeah. Where did you think it was going to go?
Not here.
Not Poop Town?
No. But like, I did a show a few years ago at Improv Asylum that started with a song that was like, everybody shits themselves or something like that, written by the incomparable Teddy Myers. But I really couldn't relate. I was like, I've never shit myself. Like, that's a thing. People do this.
You're so lucky.
Until like, it was almost like a curse. Like it was like a prophetic thing where, one night there was too much alcohol and something that really didn't sit well in my, like something that, bit of a stomach illness. And I don't need to go further with it, but I was very surprised that it took me into my 40s.
I had an accident in traffic once going to Maine. I was stuck on 95. And I was like, it's happening. Like, I was like, it was like that parking lot traffic. And I was like, this won't be on the Carfax. Like, it was awful. Once I got over the shock of it, I was just kind of laughing because what are you going to do? Nothing you can do. I was like, well, add this to the list.
Yeah, no, I wasn't happy about it. I knew that like I had a choice at the moment that it was either like bend over the toilet. I was either going to I was either gonna roll up all over my gut or shit myself. Like I was like, well, so what do you do?
I mean, choose wisely, I guess, but
sure. But then I felt like I was let into the club. So
welcome.
Who hasn't shit themselves? So yeah. That I didn't expect that we were gonna end up there, but that's where it went.
It's not surprising to me.
No.
Is it like chicken pox where once you have your accident, you're in the clear? Bella, no.
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that it can happen anytime.
Sure. I mean, it's like
poor planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like shingles because I mean,
right.
Because you get that chickenpox virus, but then there's worse. There's worse yet to come. Is a problem.
Yes.
Because then it's kind of like your asshole's kind of like, oh, that went okay. Like that's acceptable. All right. Yeah. Okay. So that's on the menu now. I gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, no one died. Don't be afraid of it.
Someday we'll be telling this story to complete strangers.
That's right. And you won't have any shame about it.
No, you'll be proud.
Loaf the Wonder Bread. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it will. And you know what? When it does, please write us a letter.
Please do.
We have a really fun guest tonight, and I'm excited about it.
I'm quite excited, and with all the chattering in the chat, I feel like everyone's tuning in to see our guest.
Yeah, so we should probably get with it.
I guess so.
Yeah, your lighting is perfect tonight. Nice
Thank you. As is yours. Like you always have the perfect lighting, and your hair is fabulous. I really
it's dark in here tonight, and I don't know why. Yeah. I have a barrette in my hair.
Very cute.
Pulling it back because I
like the half look for you. Like you do that a lot, and it's very cute.
Thanks. I'm shook. It never occurred to me that Kelly has an album. How much, if anything? Spotify. You can just stream it on, or Pandora. You don't have to buy it. Thank you.
But wait, shouldn't people buy it so that?
I mean, if they want to buy it, they can. But I mean, you can stream now, and that's great.
That's one of my favorite stories of you, though. Actually, I saw you at Laugh. I think it was Laugh's opening night, and you and I weren't friends yet, but I knew who you were, and I had followed you, and I was a big fan. And I think we had already met at the Women in Comedy Festival, and I didn't you, so like we had met but weren't friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't think you had any idea who I was, and maybe you didn't. But afterwards, I just want to congratulate you. I think you were selling your album or something like that. Or
I'm a whore.
You what?
I'm a whore.
No, you're a businesswoman. You are a professional. But I just said, this was great. Awesome. We do have Kelly's album in the link. But you gave me one. Like, you're just like, here, take this. Yeah. I was like, no, I don't want to do, I'll buy one. You're like, take it, please. And like, it was one of those like awesome, but also weird moments. Cause I was like, I'm stealing from this woman.
You're not. It's funny because you can't even sell albums anymore because people don't have CD players.
Right. Yeah.
So if anybody wants one, Venmo me the shipping and I'll send it to you. I have boxes of them. Yes. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get to our guest, who's actually a very funny comedian as well. Just an all around great person.
So with no further ado, friends, please welcome Mr. Dave Thomas to our show.
Hi, David Thomas.
Hi, David Thomas. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on our show.
Totally.
I think it's so funny. I can't call you just David. I have to call you David Thomas.
That's been the case for me my whole life. It's always been David Thomas. Some people call me Big DT in high school. Yeah, that didn't.
You are tall, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How tall of a human are you?
Huh?
How tall of a human are you?
I am 6'3".
Wow, that's a big one.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, it's fun with the three of us being on the screen at the same time. So we were talking about this briefly. Just the difference in our backgrounds is just so staggering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, since we're being open tonight, mine is really it's hiding boxes that I've yet to So
Sure.
this is just I've got to look like a productive adult. So I'm sitting in a hallway in a two-bedroom apartment.
As far as the square goes, though, I mean, both of yours look very composed. Like I look like I was kidnapped and I just like did my best with it.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that it's like most, if you've ever seen Lamont Price on Zoom or on any sort of online show, he for a long time just had one. I think it's like a dude thing. Like you just put one picture up and you're like, there, I did it.
Yeah.
Unlike I like hung every picture I have right here. Yeah.
I like that. It's like I love the electrical box and the fact that like the picture. First of all, the classic dogs playing poker.
Yes,
I mean, that allows viewers to know that you're a funny guy. You know, you're a funny guy with whimsy, but you're not afraid to you let the fuses go out. You know,
totally.
You mean business. You know where the fuse is. So
oh man.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Totally. Thank you.
You didn't want to cover it for safety.
No.
If the power goes out, we're sitting in it for a while. Yeah. So
fair enough.
Because you can't open it because the dogs are covering the latch. You know where it is, but you just can't do anything about it.
I'm not interrupting that game.
No. You might get bit. You don't want that to happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
David, you approached us to come on our show and we love you. So we were like, yes, please.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's something I've been very public about on social media. And it's actually been incredibly rewarding is not the word. The amount of support I've had from people and just being open about it has been like sort of the easiest way for me to take ownership of everything I've done, and to sort of really, well, I guess to anybody who isn't, who doesn't already know me, I'm an alcoholic. I got sober on October 1st, 2019, which means today is 602 days.
It's awesome.
That's amazing.
I appreciate it. And yeah, it's something that I have been trying to figure out, because obviously, like with live performance coming back and everything, it's something that I want to be able to talk about, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to do that. And so it was really nice of you both to let me come on and just sort of talk about it. I guess I could it's funny because I went to rehab. I moved out of Boston, went back to Virginia to go to rehab, and when you graduate from rehab, they like asked me to come back like 6 months later to like share my story with the freshmen. And and of course, like I go in and I'm just like, how much time do I have? And then, like whatever, like talk as much as you want. And I was like,
is there a light?
You're like, okay, great.
I know, right? Like this green room is, and they're like, yeah, whatever, like just do what you want. And I was like, yeah, it'll probably take like 10 minutes. I talked for 45 minutes. So like, it'll be, yeah. But yeah, I guess,
can we take a step back?
Sure.
Let's take a step back for a second. And
okay.
I want to ask you a question and see if this will kind of put us on a path here.
Totally.
So 602 days is a lot of time. And what was the catalyst for you that you decided that this is it? Like, I need to not get out of here and go take care of myself. Was it family that was pushing you to do that? Did you decide to do that?
Thank you. That was my question too.
Oh, no problem.
That's
why we're good together.
It was my friends. They had an intervention for me.
Really?
Yes. So like I first started like drinking like in college, and it was just very like chill. But like I remember the first time I like got drunk, I remember like my thought being like, this is how everybody else feels all the time. Like, because obviously the anxiety goes away. And like I moved to Boston in 2012. It started to get really bad. I think people first started to express concern to me in like 2016-ish. But when you're just like knee deep in it, and any amount of concern is terrifying it also just enrages you because it's like you put on this facade of like, I fucking know what I'm doing. Like, stop bringing it up. It's not something I want to talk about. So like, well, I guess so specifically, I'm going to jump around a bit. Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. So the catalyst for it happening, I don't know how long. I know that there had been like a group text for a while because obviously, like, if I was out and I was, you know, gone, people would have to make sure I was okay, check in on me and everything. But basically, I hosted a show at Improv Boston, and because I used to run the Last Laugh show that was Saturdays late night, and one of them, it was Interesting Points, which is that panel show that Josh Poirier used to do, and I was hosting it, and in the middle of it, I blacked out, which wasn't uncommon for me at that point. I blacked out during shows a handful of times, and I was at that point, like all of 2019, I was drinking to black out at least 3-4 times a week, something like that.
Can you explain what your blackout experience is? Because, like, I know for some people it's like a full-on pass out where they're like, they pass out and they're out cold. For others, they keep going but remember nothing of, like, you know, so there's different kind of levels. So what is your blackout? Like, what I'm assuming based on what you're saying, that you were doing shows that you weren't passing out, like you just...
I think it was a bit of a range. In general, I would get home. Most of the time, if I blacked out, I would wake up in my bed and I would either be in my clothes or from the previous night, or if I was somewhat more sentient, I would have gotten like pajamas on. But a blackout for me, like straight up, lights out, I wouldn't remember. I'd wake up the next morning, I would not remember anything. And some of it, like, I woke up in the hospital one morning because I blacked out, and as I was walking home, I passed out in the road in the rain, and somebody called an ambulance and got me to the hospital, and they were like, your blood pressure is bonkers. You need to not leave, and also you blacked out in the road. And I was like, well, you can't keep me here, and I just like left. So it was. And I'm sure, and obviously, like, there are people around who I'm sure would like get me into Ubers and that kind of thing. And I know I've had, you know, with my roommates that they've had to really help me. But I blacked out hosting this show, and then, you know, the management at IB, they, like, 2 days later, they were like, hey, can you come in? Can we talk? And I go in, and they were they honestly were very supportive and very sweet about the whole thing. And they basically were like, we're not mad at you, but, you know, they were getting complaints, obviously, and I was a fucking mess. And they were like, we think you need to get help, and we think it's best if you relieve your producing duties here until things change. And at that point, because I was in like I just moved into a new apartment, but like it was sort of like that was when like everything started to feel like it was like crashing down, you know, like everything around me. And I step outside, and two of my close friends were there, and they were like, hey, and of course I'm just like, oh fuck, like of course they're here. Right. What weird timing. And then I turn, and then 2 more of them show up, and I was like, oh, like this is a thing. And we just walked up Mass Ave, and we sat outside that coffee place, and we were just there for probably a few hours, and sort of went over everything. But the short of it is they told me, if you don't stop what you're doing, you're going to lose us, you're going to lose your family, and then you're going to fucking die. And they were right. The amount that I was drinking, it was obscene. It was, I could put down like 2/5 every night. It was insane. And they had already called my parents, and they were like, yeah, they're going to come up on Wednesday. I think it was like a Monday then. So they were like, you fucking go home and do not leave. Because what are you going to do? And, you know, at that point, I remember when they said it, you know, when they said all that to me, it was every instinct in my body was to tell them to fuck off and then just like leave. Cause that's how addled my brain was, you know, cause I'm borrowing somebody else's language here, but it's like, you only have one coping mechanism when you're like really in it. And you know that coping mechanism is what's killing you. But to imagine yourself without it is so much more terrifying. You know, you rely on it for everything. I had really bad withdrawals every morning, and it was like shaking so bad I couldn't use a computer. I remember being in the shower and barely being able to like do anything.
Wow.
And it was enough where, you know, I would like hobble like a swamp witch to like the liquor store to like get something because I had to down a pint before I even felt like I could function at all.
Did you know at the time that it was killing you, or had you kind of disassociated the alcohol from how you were feeling?
I did.
Okay.
I wanted it to kill me. It came up for me a number of times. I don't think I ever came to this thought super like, I don't think I drew this conclusion super with like finality, but in hindsight, I remember thinking, if I black out, I step out in the street and I get hit by a bus, then like my problems are solved. You know, it was very much because that, you know, and when I talk about like the world crashing down, it's because everybody who gave a shit about me, they knew. Even people who I wouldn't consider myself close with, I would, you know, like other comics or something who like, you know, we interacted at shows, but we weren't close in any way, but they would sort of be like, hey, like you were fucked up at the show. I'm concerned. And even from like a booking perspective, like if you keep doing what you're doing, you're not going to get booked at all. Cause I was a liability, like completely.
Yeah. So when you went home, did you go straight into treatment, or what was the next step? There was the intervention, which so you fought the urge to say fuck off and you just went along with it, or
it was thank you, Danielle.
Yeah. We got some love coming for you in the chat, which is really nice.
And to echo, there's a handful of folks that chimed in to say that they were glad that you didn't die, and I will echo that as well. I'm very glad that you didn't die.
Oh, thank you.
We need you here.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And really quickly, I want to just point out there's a comment from Bella World that says, not caring about whether or not you live or die. Thank you, Matt. Is such like an under discussed part of substance abuse. And like, I think there are more people that struggle with this than people realize. And I don't want to call you brave because that is overused, but I also feel really super touched by you right now, and also very inspired by you, because I think there's a huge like intersection of substance abuse and mental health, and not enough people talk about it.
I was just going to say that whole, like, you know, we talk about suicide, or we talk about depression, or we talk about substance abuse, but that sort of gray area of not caring whether you live or die, like I've had that, you know, I've dealt with it a good portion of my life, you know, and one time being totally sober, thinking if a bus jumps the curb right now and smashes me, great. I don't really care, you know? But there's different ways to cope with it. And for some, it is a substance.
Absolutely. Danielle says I would talk about that a lot when blacked out. Danielle saw probably most of my blackouts.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it was. Like the only true reason why I drank so much is that I didn't like myself. That's all it was. And obviously the whole genetic disposition to it, you know, my mom's biological dad was an alcoholic. He abandoned the family. So, you know, there's been a whole thing with that. But like, yeah, you get fucked up and you just don't give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
You don't care how it ends up because at least you're not thinking about it right then, or you're not thinking about anything, you know? But when I got home, so basically like my parents showed up, we put some stuff in the attic of the house I was staying at and just sort of like get your clothes. And like, we left. And at that point, yeah, I was pretty much the best possible thing I could have done in that moment was acknowledge that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had no fucking idea. Because everything I thought I was, you know, I thought I was nailing it. You know, every alcoholic thinks that they're the most secretive genius, and they're not, you know.
But just that mental image though too, like that's like very touching. And I feel that on a visceral level, like, you know, being an adult out on your own, your friends come together, and then mom and dad, and please understand, this is not me diminishing anything. Like,
absolutely.
I would have been like, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble. Like, you know, I mean, that in and of itself is a wake up call. And I can't even imagine what was going through your mind or how you felt about yourself in that moment. Like,
yeah, it's a very, the illusion of control I had of my life was it was razor thin. But I just clung to it, you know, because to acknowledge it all, like I would go to AA meetings as like an alibi. It would be like, have you gone to AA? I'm like, yeah. Like I went, and the meeting I went to in Harvard Square, the meeting ended right when the liquor store opened. I would leave the meeting and I would just go straight to the liquor store.
So this was prior to this intervention. You had already gone to AA meetings.
Yeah.
I've been going for a while, actually. I went to Los Angeles to stay with my sister for a few weeks because she was terrified. And also to answer Jess Rassick Snark's question, I was laid off in March. It was, for all I know, it was not due. Of course I was a shit employee, but like the team was being absorbed and they were like, we want you to apply for these positions so you can stay on the team. And I just fucking didn't. So yeah, I hadn't been employed and still haven't since March of 2019. But yeah, I went to LA to stay with my sister for a few weeks. She really asked me to come. And this was right after I had to move out of where I was living. Me and my ex broke up. And when I was there, a very close friend of my sister's had been in the program for a little bit at that point, and her and I really bonded. The fucked up thing about how much we bonded is that I genuinely like she is a mother. She had been married for some time. She was very open about everything she'd been going through, and so was I. And it was a really genuine, and still is, like a genuine friendship. And I was lying to her the entire time because I would go, my sister would go to work during the day and I would go to the liquor store. Like that was, you know, it wasn't beer, like it was straight whiskey for me all the time. And like, I would lie to my sister and be like, hey, I got booked to do this show. I'm going to go do this open mic. And I would go and I would do it. And then I would stay out for 6 more hours and get fucking plastered.
I think that's such an interesting point too. Like for those of us who are on the other side or who are friends or family of alcoholics or people with substance abuse, is like people can be going through the motions. They can be going to meetings. You know, we talked briefly before the show. I know 2 different individuals who had said like people that I'm legitimately scared for sometimes that had said, I went to AA and, you know, I had a sponsor. They said I wasn't an alcoholic. And like, I don't understand that. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Or, you know, that you can walk in and be like, yeah, that's not me. Cause my stories don't sound anything like that. Like that guy did this and that lady did this. And, you know, I never did any of that shit. So I'm fine.
Yeah. I mean, the first couple meetings they're going to, you're looking for the first couple you go to, you're looking to prove why you're not like them.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like that story's fucking insane. I've never done that. I'm squeaky clean, you know?
Yeah. So what turned the corner for you? Sorry, Kel.
It's okay. I'm holding on to them all. I'll talk to him after.
No. Go, you go.
Well, what turned the corner? So like I got back home, and I pretty much at that point, I mean, I had nowhere to go. It literally was, when that intervention happened, the choice was made very, very apparent. And it literally was, you can go die or you can do something about it. Mm-hmm. And it sounds harsh, but like the courage that they had is so immense to tell somebody that, you know, like there was my buddy Johnny told me, he was like, I'd rather you get sober and you fucking hate me your whole life than us be best friends and you have one more drink. Like that's what it was. It was a relationship destroying thing if I went about it the wrong way. And it was, but yeah, I mean, I came back, I was in a situation where like I was living with my parents and they got rid of all the booze in the house, or at least hid it well enough that I haven't found it yet. And we went to a counselor and I was just like, what do I do? And she was like, you go to rehab. That's the ticket. And like I've been going to meetings for like, they say 90 and 90 when you first get started, meaning go to 90 meetings in 90 days. And I was doing probably like 70 and 90, but like I was going a lot. And I basically, after a meeting once, I heard one guy talk about an experience he had in rehab. And I was like, hey, I think I need to look into that. And he was like, all right, gave me his number. Next day he called me, hey, we're going to drive down today and I'm going to introduce you to the guy. And I was like, okay. And then like 15 minutes later, he was at my house, went, and it was an outpatient thing, which I was relieved at, because like I was in a situation where I could live at home and I was in a good living situation. Mm-hmm. And also I got a DUI in 2015. So it's not like I could drive and go somewhere. So yeah. And it was 3 nights a week for about 4 hours. And it was a really great experience. It really was. Twice a week we had to do music and art therapy, and that was like hilariously awkward. But like the rest of it, like the discussion, everything, there's something to the group therapy aspect of that in AA meetings that I think is very universally appealing. Mm-hmm. I think having a support group for anything is so valuable. Because like I was saying before, and sorry, I don't mean to get like preachy, but it's like, it was amazing how after a couple months of going to AA is how I realized how unoriginal my story was. And that's a good thing. I heard other people go through the exact shit that I was describing, and like it makes you realize, like, you know, I thought I was such a tortured artist drinking alone in my room like a idiot, but like it's you see other people go through it too, and it just makes it so much more tangible for you, you know?
Is there that moment, David, where I had someone say to me once, you think you're special? Do you think you're special? Because you're not special. The way that you move forward, that's going to be the determination if you're special or not.
Exactly.
And I think that it's an interesting thing, right? That you're saying that you had this like aha moment with the group therapy. Was that what turned the corner for you? Was when you started feeling that group support? And someone wants to know, I think it's Danielle, did you have to play an instrument during music therapy? She really wants to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danielle.
I mean, we all do.
Right. So. Well, that's where I learned bagpipes. Jeez.
Because if anything, I mean, if you're gonna give up alcohol, play the instrument that makes everyone feel like they're hungover.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, they put out like kazoos and like tambourines, and I was like, "Where are the bagpipes?"
I'm gonna need a bagpipe immediately.
I need a sheep bladder, right?
Yeah, with some reeds stuffed in it. I want it old school, and I want it now.
Yeah. Honestly, so even when I came back, I was very intent on like, I'll whip through this in a month, maybe 2. I'll be back at Christmas. Like, just get it over with, and I can come back and go right back to my life. And it was probably, I mean, every day it's sort of, you know, it sunk in that wasn't going to happen. And weirdly enough, if something like this pandemic had to happen, I'm not sure if the timing could have been better. It's really messed up to say, but like, I was getting into a position, like I was starting to think about moving out, whether it was back to Boston or New York or whatever. But I'll never know if I was ready or not. But like, being able to stay at home and like, I got into fitness and everything, and like, which again is a very unoriginal recovery story.
It's not though. It's not. You're taking control of your body. Like you're you know, boosting your health. It makes so much sense.
Totally.
You're connected.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably about 3 months in, and somebody at a meeting was just talking about like, it wasn't so much about being happy so much as it was trying to figure out why you think you don't deserve to be happy.
I was going to ask you that before, because I feel like a lot of times when we do things to hurt ourselves, right? It's all it is just it's a way of saying like, well, you don't deserve to live this like regular life, right? You don't deserve to, you don't get to have all the good stuff. So you know what? Let's really blow this shit out.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Because then you give yourself an out for having to love yourself. Right.
Exactly. It is, you get to avoid doing the work.
Yes.
And that's why it's so appealing.
David, I feel like this, and Smarz, I feel like this is a 2-parter because it's 7:55.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Cal. Thank you.
Yeah, I could see it in your eyes. David, would you consider coming back to be with us next week?
I would love to do that.
Would you?
Yeah.
Because I don't think we're done with this conversation.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so either. And I have so many more questions. There's questions that are coming up in the chat, like, you know, specifically, you know, was there things about rehab that you didn't expect? And I don't expect you to answer that question now, because that probably is, you know, so we can come back and do that. And I want to know too, like what your advice is too for like friends and family of people that are in need, or people, you know, like what messages you would have for people who are in your situation.
Yeah, I would love to. I love that idea.
I also just want to point out, if 2MB beat me to it, it's in the chat. If you have questions, feel free to put them out there now and we can capture them and revisit them next week. And or you can email them at thatstoomuchbread@gmail.com. And we'll come back next week with you if you'll join us.
I would love to. Thank you.
And before we do tune out, because I know some of them are watching, but I want to, Loaf is saying thank you so much. I want to echo that, you know, thank you so much for being as open as you are and have been about this, but for coming onto the show. And thank you for any of David's friends that are watching who were part of that intervention. Thank you for keeping him here for us. That's awesome. It's humbling and very inspiring to know there are people like you and them in this world.
Oh, thank you. Danielle was there. Thanks, Danielle.
You're making my heart explode right now because the face that you're making is the face of someone who actually does like themselves. Well,
yeah,
I can't wait to come back next. Like, you're taking these compliments like a champ, and I love it. So
yeah.
So next week we get to hear part 2. I think someone wrote part 2, the sobering.
Ooh, and I love it.
Yeah.
We won't talk as much about poop beforehand.
Yeah. We're gonna bring you right in. We'll bring you right in. That way we can't go down some poop rabbit hole, you know.
Well, crazily enough, shitting your pants is a pretty good segue into alcoholism.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I thought that for a split second because I was like, well, that was the last really drunk night I had.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Boy Detectives.
Stay tuned for 2 Boy Detectives. We'll be back with David Thomas next week. And thank you so much for tuning in to Genuine Nonsense.
Thank you.